future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, June 8th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Quite a bit to get to today as martial law, dare I say, overtakes New York City. Trump security detail as Trump attends an NBA championship game there in New York. We're going to cover those details. Also ridiculous, this interview Trump did over the weekend with NBC, Meet the Prostitutes, where he just straight up lies, says that he didn't campaign. He says, first of all, I did not guarantee no war. That's literally what him and Vance campaigned on. But MAGA loves the lies. Apparently, it has to be just paid shills at this point. I mean, who could still support this? You got to have some vested interest in supporting the liar Trump at this point. I mean, it's just beyond the pale. So we're going to cover all of that. America 250, they're cranking up the cage match fighting. They're building that monstrosity on the White House lawn. We're going to cover that. The ins and outs of the Iran war on day number 101 here now. There was a flare-up. Iran shot some missiles at Aardvark land. Aardvark land attacked back, and so on and so forth. We'll go over the weekend. And so we're kind of in a lull right now, but fighting does continue there in Lebanon. So the Lebanese genocide and the Palestinian genocide continues. As we continue to report here, they're stacking the bodies. Tragically and horrifically enough there. We're going to cover all the ins and outs, what has transpired here since we've last been on the air on Friday. We got a lot of economic news for you. We got public health news. We're going to take a look at the World Cup. The CDC sounding the alarm to prepare for the World Cup. Public health needs to prepare for it. We're going to take a look at that. Are they preparing to stage a major false flag event at the World Cup? We'll take a look at that. We got geopolitical news. And yeah, happy USS Liberty Day as well. We have Thomas Massey speech in Congress about it. Take a look at all of this and much more on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Shout out to all the subscribers out there. You know who you are. I won't say your names and dox you guys out there. The paid subscribers, thank you very much. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, you guys inspire me to try to do better and keep this whole Weaponized News program going. So truly, honestly, thank you out there in the audience. Again, give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All that's free. Become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack. The link's in the description below the video. I provide the full show there. We're streaming there live, apparently. A summary to the show and links to almost everything we talk about. That is the value added at Weaponized News Substack. They haven't censored us, as I know, as far as I know, over there as well on Substack. And so everything's free. Become a paid subscriber, Weaponized News Substack, to help support independent reporting and analysis brought to you here 5 days a week by me at weaponizednews.com. All right. Yeah, where do we start? Let's get to this day in history. We've got a lot of news to get to today. On this day in our history, we go way back. On the day of June 8th, we go back to the year 65. We saw Aardvark rebellion in Rome, capturing fortress of Antonia in Jerusalem, way back in the year 65 on this day. Then we fast forward to the year 452. On this day, Attila the Hun invades Italy. Then fast forward again through history. On this day in 1191, King Richard I of England arrives at Arch in modern-day Aardvark land to join the siege of Arch during the Third Crusade. On this day in 1493, we saw the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick III's left leg is amputated at his court in Lens, the most famous record of surgery in the Middle Ages. He survived until August 19th. Quite a brutal surgery there, amputations before even anesthetics, before they even knew what they're really doing with all these surgeries in the Middle Ages. On this day, 1493, 1789, we're finally out of the Middle Ages. Now on to the alleged American experience here. James Madison introduced the proposed Bill of Rights in the House of Representatives on this day, 1789. 1812. On this day in 1812, Robert Jenkinson, Prime Minister Robert Jenkinson, Prime Minister of UK, after Spencer Perceval's assassination. Robert Jenkinson becomes Prime Minister of the UK after that assassination. On this day, 1812, 1861. On this day, the American Civil War, Tennessee votes to secede from the Union. On this day, 1861. On this day, 1869, Ives W. McGaffey of Chicago patents the first vacuum cleaner, calling it a sweeping machine. It's a great invention. They're part of the Industrial Revolution. The sweeping machine, now we call it a vacuum cleaner. On this day, 1896, we saw the first car theft. Baron von Zulin's vehicle is stolen by his mechanic in Paris. That's a pretty funny one. 1940, on this day, that's the first ever car theft recorded. On this day, 1940, we see announced publicly discovery of element 93, neptunium, is announced on this day, 1940. 1944, on this day, deportation of 70,000 aardvarks from Poland to Auschwitz and other concentration camps there in Europe under Nazi control. 1949, on this day, George Orwell's seminal novel, 1984, set in the totalitarian state of Oceania. 1984, published on this day. It was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual. That's what most say. But if you look into Eric Blair, George Orwell, it looks like he was part of the Fabian Socialist Society there in the UK, and maybe had a change of heart and was trying to expose their nefarious workings through the fictional novel 1984, published on this day in 1949. 1965, on this day, U.S. troops ordered to fight offensively in Vietnam. 1967, part of the USS Liberty, 6-day war, Aardvark Land's Navy and Air Force attacked USS Liberty in the Mediterranean Sea in broad daylight, mistaking it for an Egyptian ship, is the official story. 34 U.S. crew members killed, 75 injured, and the ship broadly damaged. We'll get to more of that on the USS Liberty later in the show here. 1968, on this day, Patsy James Earl Ray, the alleged assassin of Martin Luther King Jr., is captured on this day. And he said he was a patsy, and subsequent rulings from a civil trial by Martin Luther King's family against the U.S. federal government confirmed that there was a conspiracy to assassinate him by the United States federal government. And they threw old James Earl Ray out there as the lone wolf, patsy gunman, as per usual in government MK Ultra patsy assassination plots, as we've seen here now. Moving forward to 1978, on this day, Nevada jury rules Howard Hughes' Mormon will is a forgery. On this day in 1979, quote, The Source goes online, the first public computer information service. The Source on this day, 1979. And 1983 on this day, Trading Places, American comedy film, is released. That's a good one. If you haven't seen it, with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. And the producer of Trading Places is Great American Patriot, and producer and director Aaron Russo, producer and director of America Freedom to Fascism, the documentary about there is no law requiring you to pay individual income tax, and exposing the fact that the Federal Reserve is a private central bank cartel. Everybody should watch that documentary, America Freedom to Fascism. Should also watch Trading Places. It's a very good quote comedy film exposing the corruption of Wall Street. On this day in 1984, Ghostbusters is released. I know, pandemonium, dogs and cats living together. What shall we do? Released on this day, to paraphrase Ghostbusters, released on this day. In 1984, 1987, on this day, we saw the Iran-Contra hearings. Oliver North's Secretary Fawn Hall testifies at Iran-Contra hearings on this date, 1987. 2018, on this day, we saw the world's most powerful supercomputer summit can process 200,000 trillion calculations per second, launched at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, Tennessee, by IBM and NVIDIA, the forerunner for the AI revolution we're seeing right now. 2020, on this day, during the bat times, lockdowns for bat times in Europe saved 3 million lives, according to a study by Imperial College of London. And they're the ones that cooked up a bunch of legitimate scientific data, let's just say, out there for the naysayers of the bat times. Everybody should look into Imperial College of London. It would be laughable if it wasn't so tragic. Now, what all they did and got away with and continue to till this day. 2020, on this day, they saved Trump literally saved the whole world with Operation Warp Speed, according to Trump. So there you go. With the bat times, it was wonderful for everyone. On this day in our civil liberties history, we go back to the year 1975. Attorney General Levy: presidents have no authority to order assassinations. In response to revelations that the CIA had undertaken secret plans to assassinate foreign leaders, Attorney General Edward H. Levy stated on this day that presidents do not have the authority to order assassinations of foreign leaders. A year later, on February 18th, 1976, then President Gerald Ford issued Executive Order 11905, banning assassinations by the CIA and other governmental agencies. The CIA assassination plots were exposed by the investigations of the Senate Church Committee created on January 27, 1975. CBS reporter Daniel Schnorr was the first to report the plots, which he did on national television on the night of April 28, 1975. When he became Attorney General, Edward Levy promised to be politically independent. And he followed through on the promise throughout his term in office. He became Attorney General in the wake of the Watergate scandal under President Richard Nixon, which had severely tainted the office of Attorney General. Well, he should have been out if he's actually making good on his campaign promises? That's treason, right? Sure it is. In an empire of lies where we find ourselves. And on this day in 1992, court upholds professors' free speech rights on African American inferiority. Yep, get triggered out there. I'm sorry, but we do have a First Amendment in this country. A federal appeals court on this day ruled that City College in New York violated the First Amendment and due process rights of philosophy professor Michael Levin, who had written letters and articles outside of the classroom that on average African Americans are less intelligent than whites. Students had disrupted his class to protest his views, and the university created separate sections of the courses he taught for students offended by his views. The court ruled that the university's actions constituted a chilling effect on free speech that violates the First Amendment. The controversy over Professor Levin coincided with a separate one over Professor Leonard Jeffries, who espoused theories of African American superiority. So take your pick of extremists on both sides. That's why we have the First Amendment, so we can peacefully debate such issues. There are groups out there that want to turn to violence and use this as a diversionary, subversive tactic against our First Amendment. Don't let them win out there. So I don't care how offended you are by whatever. We have a First Amendment that takes precedent over all of your sensitive sensibilities out there. So sorry to report that to you. The university removed Professor Jeffries as a chairperson of the Black Studies Department 3 days before the court decision in the Levine case. Jeffries filed a $25 million lawsuit against the university for violating his rights. All right, here's our segue now to the news. And here's Trump lying. He got debunked on a fact check on X. So let me show you that first here. I always got to, blow the spoiler alert. Here's Trump on this NBC fake interview they did over the weekend. Welker, the interview lady, says, "You insisted no new wars." Trump replied, "First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Welker, you said it over and over again." And then a fact checker on the X, the community notes, says during his campaign run, Trump promised multiple times there would be no new wars. I know. Stop being triggered out there, MAGA. Trump's a lying criminal, and now you're complicit by supporting him at this point.
What changed? Because you insisted no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. I inherited a terrible military. We had no equipment. We had nothing. I built a tremendous military. Biden gave a lot of it away, but it's still a relatively small portion compared to what I built.
But you said it over and over again, Mr.
Why would I
President?
build a military? Now, I didn't want to use this, but I'm doing you and everybody else a big favor. In the midst of the greatest stock market in history, in the midst of the most successful country, because as you know, in the last time we were a dead country, Kristen. I know you're a big liberal.
Bro, we can't afford groceries out here, so save all your bullshit, man. Republicans are going to get destroyed. And this is Trump acting like a child. This whole thing's staged. It's Masonic political theater, for those that don't know out there. But here he is acting like a child, storming off the interview set.
We traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
Smash their microphone there. And she's shocked. She's acting shocked. So the UFC on the White House lawn is costing $60 million estimated. Trump's legal tariffs, $264 billion. Triumphal Arch in D.C., $100 million. Renaming airport to Donald J. Trump Airport, $5.5 million. Trump's war on Iran, $2 billion per day. Trump's face on a $250 bill, costing $375 million. The gap between America First and Trump's legacy first is getting harder to ignore. That's a post by Free Thought Project Jason Bassler. I couldn't agree more. Here's old were they Morning Joe CNBC? They changed their name. I can't even keep track. Anyhow, Mika Brzezinski, a beautiful shot of Washington, D.C. They love the evil district of criminals, Washington, D.C. The architecture designed to elicit evil energy, right, from the occult practices they're doing there.
Welcome back to Morning Joe. It's the top of the hour. A beautiful shot of Washington, D.C. as we start off the week with.
So these monsters love it. They love all of the dark occultic energy created by the evil done in the district of criminals. Here it is. This looks like something out of, I don't know, a sci-fi movie, something. The UFC was testing the lighting for the claw on the White House lawn last night. Here's that video. Is this some type of interdimensional Stargate? No audio on this clip. There you go. What a monstrosity. Bread and circuses. There you go. Testing the lighting system. It's all so wonderful. We can't afford groceries out here, bro. 1 week away, the White House tells us. Oh, they're running this. They're running Q psyops. You should be offended and outraged, actually, at this point, because they're lying criminals, the entire government. But the White House now under Trump continues to run Q psyops on idiots that still believe this bullshit. Here's the video, and then we'll go back to the post.
We all know President Trump loves UFC crowds, and they love him.
New construction is underway for an unprecedented spectacle.
Yeah, the Octagon is coming to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
I think it's going to be the biggest event we've ever had.
There's going to be 4,300 people there, and most of them will be military.
It's going to be a one-of-one type of show.
This is the hottest ticket in town.
This has all of the ingredients needed for the biggest fight in UFC history.
What a load of shit. And Dana White, there's that weird video where he's got like some kind of MK Ultra Monarch program, paintings going on with like some young girl being raped. It's just, these people are all Epsteiners, all right? They're all sick freaks. They're dark occultists. They're Satanists, okay? None of these people are your friend. Buckle up. It's about to go down. Here's the White House running Q psyops. The White House posted this earlier today. Buckle up. It's about to go down. And then we got people out there still solving the internet riddles. Autist the 17th, Autist Division on the X, shows us the Q post here. Buckle up. It's about to go down. Buckle up. Set the stage. And so they have a Q post for all of this nonsense to continue the propaganda campaign that the white hat good guys are in charge. Bullshit. The entire government's corrupt beyond our imagination. And they're plotting to terminate many of us out here. So still running the Q psyops right directly from the White House main X account now. You see what they're doing here? It's truly disgusting. And they're evil. Trump's evil. They're all evil. All these people pushing this are evil. America 250. Here it is. a Ferris wheel overlooking the monuments, more than 150 exhibits from all 56 states and territories, live entertainment, cultural programming, family attractions, innovation showcases, and spectacular flyovers. This is the Great American State Fair on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., June 25th through July 10th, 2026. Yeah, pay no attention to all their occult architecture there. Again, we can't afford groceries out here, bro. Ann Coulter, she's a big conservative. Used to be. I guess she's a big liberal now. That's what MAGA will call her. On Trump attending this basketball game tonight. It's happening anytime, probably while we're on the air. I'm sure it will be happening. But yeah, they're shutting down a big portion there of New York City on Trump going there to attend the game tonight. About that, Ann Coulter posts, of all the selfish, narcissistic things Trump has done, attending Madison Square Garden to see the Knicks play in person tonight is the absolute worst. 20,000 attendees will be massively inconvenienced for all the extra security. The Knicks watch party at Garden is canceled. Thousands of extra law enforcement officers will be required, paid for by taxpayer money. Traffic will be a disaster, all so he can sit in the Garden rather than watch the game on TV. President ought to be willing to sacrifice once in a while. No bags, no watch parties at Madison Square Garden, with Trump attending Game 3 of the NBA Finals. So, yeah. And hey, we can't afford groceries out here. So normal New York Knicks fans, Joe Blow working stiffs, they're nowhere near being able to even afford a ticket to the freaking game. But this guy, Trump, is going to shut down, 5-6 city blocks, F everybody, basically, and he's king of New York now. So a man of the people. On to Iran war now. What a breakdown. Here's a summary from Iran International about what has happened over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Iran's Joint Military Command said earlier today that the armed forces had halted operations against Aardvarkland, but warned that it may resume the attacks if Lebanon is attacked. Aardvarkland Security Cabinet also decided to halt Iranian attack, but rejected Iran's Lebanon ceasefire demand. All flights at Iran's airports have been canceled until further notice. The Iran Airport and Air Navigation Company said earlier today. President Trump earlier today urged Aardvarkland and Iran to immediately stop shooting after renewed clashes between the two countries. Iran rejected reports that it had targeted Saudi Arabia, with Foreign Ministry spokesman Baghdadi saying earlier today that Tehran publicly acknowledges military operations carried out by its armed forces, but did not attempt to attack Saudi Arabia. Aardvarkland airstrikes hit a petrochemical complex in Mershur in southwest Iran, prompting an emergency evacuation of the day shift staff at that petrochemical processing complex. So where are we at now? Netanyahu struck Iran despite claimed U.S. objection, says war with Lebanon will continue. Aardvark land struck Iran on Saturday despite reported opposition from Trump administration, but stood down from a larger planned assault after a new warning from the president earlier today, according to propaganda mouthpiece Axios, the outlet that has served as a conduit for official Trump administration leaks and messages throughout the administration. The Trump Netanyahu calls, Axios says Trump called Netanyahu on Sunday and urged him not to retaliate, arguing a deal was days away. I don't believe any of this, but that's what they're putting out there publicly. The call ended without a firm commitment from the Aardvark land prime minister. Netanyahu concluded Trump's opposition was not firm, an Aardvark land source told Axios, and ordered strikes to proceed. There is no way Bibi could have interpreted what the president told him as an agreement. They don't know what ceasefire means in English. They don't know what don't means, like do not stop. So yeah, the English language to the Aardvarks is alien to them. We might as well be on a different planet, because the meaning of words in the English language has two different meanings to us and to Aardvarks. They're in Aardvark land. There's no way Bibi could have interpreted what the president told him as an agreement. He was expressly told the president didn't support it, but he does what he does, a U.S. official told Axios. If we're to believe any of that, I think that's just all it's just all more propaganda and lies, covers to try to spin you down these rabbit holes. They're working in lockstep. Come on. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Baghdadi said, however, blamed the U.S. directly. No one believes that Aardvark land regime would take any action without coordination with the United States. Kind of have to agree with Iran Foreign Ministry spokesman on this. The United States bears responsibility for the Aardvark land regime's aggression, and it will also be responsible for the consequences of any escalation in tensions, i.e., Aardvark land bombs Lebanon, i.e., Iran bombs the hell out of U.S. assets in the region, our military bases, and our service members are in harm's way now. Thank you very much, greatest ally. We do appreciate your efforts to build the greater Aardvark land, bring about the third temple building, and fulfill your fake prophecy. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate all of the death and destruction and genocide. And so they just go through here. Yeah, the back and forth, whatever, dude. I don't believe a word that is coming out of these bastards. Probably shouldn't believe Iran, but they seem to be telling the truth in more context than America at this point. Sorry to report to you here now. I wish it wasn't this way, but it is. Aardvark Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced that it had launched a missile strike against industrial facilities in Haifa in response to U.S. Aardvark land attack on Iranian petrochemical complex. In a statement released earlier today, the IRGC warned that Aardvark land had begun a dangerous game by targeting civilian and energy infrastructure, saying any further attacks on oil or petrochemical facilities could expand the war to encompass energy targets across the region. The IRGC added that the consequences for the global economy would be the responsibility of the United States, which it said is the main instigator of the war. More from Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, Baghdadi. He's denied reports that Iran targeted Saudi Arabia, warning instead of a possible false flag operation carried out in Iran's name. He said Iran openly claims responsibility for any military operation it conducts and had issued no statement regarding the reported incident. He added that Tehran has repeatedly warned of false flag operations. They have, alleging that Aardvarkland and other actors carried out similar actions during the Ramadan war and in previous periods. The remarks came after missile warning sirens sounded in the Saudi city of Al-Kharj, where the Prince Sultan Air Base and major U.S. military installation is located, hours after Aardvarkland launched new strikes against Iran. Iran says it's a false flag on Saudi Arabia. They didn't do it, and if they did, they would announce it. They seem pretty forthcoming about their military operations announcements. I'm just saying. That's what we've seen here now during this 101 days of war with Iran. Here's Trump post earlier today. According to the media reports, they want us to think there's a divide between Trump and Aardvarkland now. I just simply don't believe it. I think it's all for public consumption to try to ease some of the blowback here now on Trump. Both sides, Aardvarkland and Iran, are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Sure, bro. Final negotiations on peace are proceeding, subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way. The blockade will remain in force and in full force and effect until a, quote, final deal is reached. Things should move quickly. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Are you going to free up the billions Iran wants of frozen assets? Is Aardvarkland going to stop the genocide in Lebanon? Neither of those seem like, and there's other stipulations as well, but those are two big ones, and they just shrug, huh? Who are you talking to about that? That's fake news, they'll say, right? I mean, so it's just, we're still in the Persian standoff as the Strait of Hormuz is essentially closed, and ongoing bombing campaigns by Aardvarkland continue against Gaza and Lebanon. That's where we're at. Pakistan acting as the middleman, the mediator here, which is mediating U.S.-Iran negotiations, has called on all parties to exercise restraint, claiming a deal is within reach. Huh. Everybody wants a deal except for Aardvarkland, dare I say. Report out of Drop Site News here now. They're quoting old Iran foreign minister spokesman Baghdadi again. No one in the region believes that the Zionist regime carries out any action without prior coordination and cooperation with the United States. The consequences of any escalation will also fall on Washington. The U.S. State Department has explicitly stated that the main reason for imposing this war on Iran was support for the Zionist regime, for Aardvarkland. Huh. Like we continue to, I've cited that, I don't even know how many times, 25 times, I don't know, a lot of freaking times to debunk Trump's "they're going to nuke us in 2 weeks" claim, right? That has been the official American position. Furthermore, despite the claims of U.S. officials, we know that CENTCOM is fully coordinating and cooperating with the Zionist regime in both defensive and offensive operations. That's a U.S. State Department. The idea that the Zionist regime does not even listen to the United States and acts independently of American wishes or seeks to humiliate U.S. officials through its actions is something that can always be debated. Sure. The United States bears responsibility as a party to the April 8th ceasefire understanding. Whatever happens in the region, whether the U.S. itself violates the ceasefire by attacking Iranian commercial ships or targeting southern parts of the country, or whatever violations are carried out through the Zionist regime in Lebanon with U.S. complicity, the direct responsibility of the United States is clear, and the consequences of any escalation will also fall on Washington. That's Iran Foreign Minister spokesperson, their spokesman, Hadi Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Parliament over there in Iran, said, "We have disrupted the equation of a ceasefire on paper and its repeated violations in the field. As long as you lack the genuine will to build trust, Iran's response will be exactly this." And they're looking to whack that guy too, this guy, right? There's reports they're looking to try to figure out how to whack this guy. I thought presidents couldn't order assassinations. Well, we assassinated Khomeini, didn't we? The first Khomeini in charge there. They're looking to whack this guy, according to reports. And they say, well, they didn't want to negotiate. And it's like, bro, you whacked the negotiator. Well, you're an antiseptic. So there you go. Here's Bibi. Is this translated in English? Yeah, it's a bad translation anyway. Bibi, the shadow president of America here, the most corrupt man in the world, this guy, right? In this statement, he said, "I say to my friend Trump in conversation, we will defend Aardvark land with determination." Huh? Bibi says Aardvark land was forced to bomb Iran in order to prevent a nuclear attack on Aardvark land. Huh. Same routine has been. They're not getting off that narrative, are they now? And it's really starting to look like the whole story we've been told about global thermal nuclear war is total bullshit, because I believe that Aardvark land does have nukes, and if it did what they say it can do, they would have used them already and wiped out Lebanon, Iran, and freaking Gaza there. Definitely Iran. Netanyahu says Iran and Hezbollah are weaker than ever, and we are stronger than ever. And so we do appreciate the efforts of the American taxpayer, our corrupt U.S. government, to prop up Aardvark land, to be in a position to claim they're an emerging global superpower. We do appreciate the vampires literally sucking the blood out of our country to achieve this end for these genocidal maniacs. Netanyahu said Hezbollah planned to invade the Galilee with thousands of terrorists, and at the same time, it planned to destroy the cities of Aardvark land with 150,000 rockets and missiles. Hey, Iran planned to nuke New York City in 2 weeks for the last 47 years, according to Bibi here now, right? Sure, buddy. Iran says it will no longer wait for threats, declaring new strategic regional defense doctrine. Iran's Expediency Discernment Council chairman Lari Jani said Tehran's intervention in support of Lebanon constitutes a formal declaration of a new strategic doctrine under which attacks on any component of the resistance axis will trigger a response that extends beyond geographical boundaries and reshapes regional equations. Lari Jani said Iran has entered a new phase in which it no longer waits for threats to emerge before acting to preserve its regional position, but instead takes the initiative. He also warned that any expansion of the conflict or attack on critical Iranian infrastructure would be met with a comprehensive and deterrent response. This character right here is saying all of that. New strategic regional defense doctrine there. So essentially they're saying if you go after them or any of their proxies, then they're going to, you go after the Houthis, you go after the Hezbollah, you go after Hamas, maybe some kind of loose thing going on there, other militia groups they have in the region, then you're going to deal with the state of Iran is what they're saying there. So we'll see. They kind of have to follow through on this or they're going to lose momentum and support for the axis of resistance, as they call it. Let's see here. Iran has announced the end of its current wave of retaliatory strikes against Aardvark land. So we're back to not really hot and heavy, but hey, everybody's fingers on the trigger and they've just done a bunch of shooting. So anytime here now, it's ready to kick off hot and heavy. Iran announces halt to operations against Aardvark land, warns stronger responsive attacks on Lebanon continue. Well, last reports I saw, they're continuing. So remember this guy, the Iranian propagandist, he's always all pissed off, yelling, right? Following the aggressions and acts of hostility carried out by the brutal Zionist regime in South Lebanon and the Dahai area, which were carried out with the support of criminal America, the powerful armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran delivered a painful response to this regime in support of the oppressed people of Lebanon. It is a response from which the illegitimate Zionist regime and its supporters should have learned a lesson. Accordingly, the cessation of armed forces operations is hereby announced. However, it is emphasized that should the aggressions and hostile acts continue, including in South Lebanon, much more severe and crushing measures than before will follow. Joe Kent, of course, he resigned as the top counterterrorism spy, right? Here in America, he says no deal is required for U.S. to just walk away. It's evident that we can't stop either side from attacking each other. There is only one realistic choice we have: stay and get sucked further into the war, or look out for our own interests and just walk away. I know it's quite horrific here. Joe Kent calling to look out for America first interests. Shocking treason there. I know. Quite horrific. Well, that's why he resigned, right? And he told them, U.S. intelligence said, the State Department said, in different words, but U.S. intelligence said, there is no imminent nuclear threat from Iran. Trump ignored it and listened to Bibi and whatever other spy clown aardvarks in his ear, and went ahead and did that assassination on the supreme leader of Iran, Khomeini, and started this war. We're now on day 101 into, and Joe Blow American, me included, we can't afford groceries out here, bro. And you want to talk about antiseptic all day. You know what I mean? It's just a major disconnect from reality here and who the government is actually representing, because it ain't Joe Blow American. That's painfully obvious at this point. U.S. forces disable non-compliant oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman. And so, as it says in the Constitution, the U.S. military is mandated to be the policeman of the Strait of Hormuz? No, it says nothing like that, but that's the way they act here now. Posted by U.S. Central Command, they say that U.S. forces disabled an unladen oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman now. So that whole area, and Houthis have went live now as well with their finger on the trigger. I think we have the announcement. Nothing through. Keep effing around and find out. There'll be no traffic through the Red Sea as well there now. But continuing in this post from U.S. Central Command, they say, they disabled an unladen oil tanker. They didn't have the paperwork, allegedly, here now, right? According to U.S. Central Command in the Gulf of Oman, earlier today, after the vessel violated the ongoing blockade against Iran by attempting to sail to an Iranian port. U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, disabled Palau flagged MT Marivex as it transited international waters in the Gulf of Oman toward Iran. An FA-18 Super Hornet from USS Abraham Lincoln fired a precision munition into the ship's engineering and steering spaces after the crew failed to comply with directions from U.S. forces. The oil tanker is no longer sailing to Iran. That's a great use of U.S. military resources there. Sure it is. CENTCOM forces have disabled 7 non-compliant vessels, redirecting 134 ships that complied and allowed 42 vessels supporting humanitarian aid to pass since initiating the blockade on April 13th, 2026. What a freaking disaster. We're in a Persian standoff there. And so it's a disaster. By all accounts, we're going to see a global famine. Joe Blow Americans already can't afford groceries. If you're in the third and fourth world, millions are going to starve to death because of this. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. We are going to face the blowback from this here in many different ways in America. Iran's already said everything Aardvark does, that's you, America. You know what I mean? So whatever you want to say, maybe they're in check, maybe they're not. I say they're not. I say we're working together. However you may see it, they're out of control, bloodthirsty, genocidal maniacs. They're not stopping, you see, is the problem here now. U.S. CENTCOM assisted with intelligence and air coordination for Aardvark land strikes on defense against missiles. Reported earlier today. So again, the conflicting reports. We didn't have anything to do with it. It's just Aardvark land. Iran says bullshit. You're one and the same. So we should probably take them at their word. That's the way they see things and be looking at it from that perspective instead of following all this bullshit propaganda from Axios and the others out there. Saying, oh yeah, maybe there's a mix-up. There's a falling out between Trump and Bibi. They've been playing this bullshit for a long time here now. And it's just diversionary tactics to throw us off the trail of the real culprits, which is Aardvark land, and with America's blessing, of course. Here now. That's causing all these problems. I know. Iran, the bastards should have never built their country around all our military bases in the region, but they did, and now we have to deal with them. Over the weekend, this came out. Failing New York Times, who was it? NBC, all over your Mockingbird media. They say, according to the Pentagon, Aardvark land is a major espionage threat. Congress says, cool, let's deepen military integration with Aardvark land. Government logic, they're spying on us. Better give them the keys. That's a Free Thought Project, Jason Bassler, little post. Here is the headlines. Pentagon sees growing espionage threat from Aardvark land. Well, everybody at the Pentagon should be sanctioned and droned. House Dems join GOP to help advance deeper U.S. Aardvark land military integration. So that right there. 01 Coke, Pepsi, red, blue, Republican, Democrat, it don't make a difference. Your government is corrupt beyond our wildest imagination here now. Pentagon sees growing threat. Espionage threat from Aardvark land. I don't get this story, really. We're like BFFs. Like, what's even the point? Like, really? The failing New York Times says why don't they change the name here in the headline, the subheadline? They say the Defense Department has increased the counterintelligence threat assessment to its highest level, and Aardvark land is believed to have been eavesdropping on American negotiations with Iran. Why don't they call it the Department of War? I guess it's not official. Anyhow, why do they need to eavesdrop? Their man, Kushner, and freaking Witkoff are there. Those are literal spies for the freaking Aardvark land, acting as negotiators. Yeah. I have a hard time buying that, but on to section 224 of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act. We've been reporting on it, and it's extremely concerning here now. U.S. Aardvark Land Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, Section 224 of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, H.R. 8800. Get that? They like the backhanded numerology and symbology and mockery, actually. Establishes the United States Aardvark Land Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, requiring the Defense Secretary to designate an executive agent to coordinate U.S. Aardvark Land Defense Technology research, development, testing, evaluation, integration, and industrial cooperation. So we're one in the same, as it should be, right? As it is written in our Constitution, that Aardvark Land founded America here now with the help of Bibi, Smotrick, and what the hell's that? And Katz and freaking Ben Gavir. They were the founding fathers of America. Key provisions in this executive agent requirement: the Defense Secretary must appoint an executive agent to oversee and coordinate all aspects of U.S. Aardvark Land Defense Technology collaboration. So we'll have a special agent that's looking out for our interests and giving everything we got to Aardvark Land. It's going to be freaking awesome, bro. Telling you, this is the golden age for us. Scope covers bilateral defense technology work, integration, and industrial cooperation across a wide range of domains, including artificial intelligence, quantum technology, autonomous systems, directed energy, cyber capabilities, and biotechnology. Integration and data fusion. The bill uses terms like network integration and data fusion without clear definitions, raising concerns about the depth and scope of cooperation. Well, again, everybody against it is a terrorist. So there you go. And what else on this summary of it? Strategic context, purpose. Supporters see it as a way to deepen U.S. Aardvark Land military ties beyond traditional defense aid, fostering closer defense industrial integration and joint capabilities. Timing proposed amid heightened U.S. Aardvark Land military engagement, including joint operations against Iran, and as both countries discuss moving beyond the traditional aid framework. Netanyahu's like, yeah, we're not going to take any more foreign aid from America. We're just going to be America. See, a sneaky aardvark trick there. Good one, Bibi, shadow president of America. Political and security implications. Supporters argue it strengthens security partnerships and accelerates joint innovation. Critics warn it could intertwine the two militaries at a level not seen before in American history, making it harder for Congress, taxpayers, and future administrations to monitor activities going on in Aardvark Land and U.S. military coordination and collaboration. We're like going to be one and the same here, bro. It's freaking awesome. Yeah, it lacks clear definitions because they don't even care what words mean at this point. They just make up whatever. Don't be an antiseptic and just scream that all day. Scream 6 million and antiseptic all day. And that's about what we get out of these lying criminals. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome when they pass this Section 224. They're essentially merging our two militaries. And that would make Aardvark land a regional superpower at that point, which we strive for, and it's called for in the Constitution. Here's Massey. A little bit about Massey, talking about Section 224. Thankfully that, who was it? I can't remember. The Gilrain beat him, or we'd have more of this talk from Massey, right?
Letter that you showed comes on the heels of a section 224 of the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, that was just made public by the chairman and the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. They intend to mark up that bill next week, I believe, and then we could see the NDAA on the floor very soon, maybe next month, if not sooner, for a full House vote. There's a troubling provision in there, Section 224, which I intend to offer an amendment to strip, but that provision would enmesh, synchronize, integrate, whatever word you want to use. I think they use the word synchronize in the legislation, but we all know what it means. And we were called conspiracy theorists last week for saying this means we're going to merge the two militaries, the IDF and the U.S. military, because they said, oh, this is just, we're merely combining our technology and our supply chain.
There you go. Massey is a conspiracy theorist claiming that words even have meanings that can be defined. That's a conspiracy theory now.
And all this other stuff, it has nothing to do with chain of command, which that may be true, but it's still an encumbrance and an entanglement that I think, honestly, is treasonous. There is no reason that this is not a symmetric relationship. Even NATO is asymmetric, but this is way more asymmetric, where we're going to be the ones giving, compromising our own national security, basically obligating ourselves to the defense of Israel at any cost, regardless of what Netanyahu engages in once we, through Section 224, the NDAA, and then this letter, which is showing you the road, the path that they intend to go down, that makes us all not conspiracy theorists now. It only takes the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth has been about 6 months here in Washington, D.C. It's now reduced to 6 days in this Israeli plan.
We could reduce it down to, as soon as you read the documents from these criminals, know that it's a racketeering operation aimed at garnering more power from them and going about the global mass depopulation agenda here now. And so we don't even have to wait 6 days, 6 months, 6 days. Immediately that should come to your mind, because that's exactly what's going on here now. All right, let's take our live commercial break. We'll come back with USS Liberty. Some reporting on that on the anniversary. We're on the 59th anniversary of the USS Liberty attack there by our greatest ally that they try to cover up in the whole rest of the routine. Go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a holograph sticker there for Pride Month. See all the colors of the rainbow there. You can catch it on the Weaponized News holograph sticker. If you're not into Pride Month, which I understand, not much to be proud of around here in this tyranny, we have the clear background sticker, and we have the white background sticker and the clear sticker. 3 stickers. You'll get a new one. This is the demo model on the clear. weaponizednews.com/shop. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Help support independent reporting and analysis, brought to you 5 days a week. Broadcasting live, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet, address, Cash App, links all in the description below this video. All those links. Become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack. Again, all in the Substack. You get the full show. I believe we're broadcasting it live there now. A summary of the show and links to almost everything we talk about for documentation and further research purposes. Again, thank you out there to the paid subscribers. We do appreciate it. You're paying to show your support for what we do here at Weaponized News. Everything's free, nothing beyond a paywall. I'm not even playing that game of, oh, I have some secret whatever, intel. I'm going to tell you a big secret, pay to be in the secret room or whatever. People do, and that's fine and dandy. That's their model. That's not my model. My model is just blast the hell away as much as I can and hope that you guys find value in that and become a paid subscriber, Weaponized News Substack. And the new paid subscriber we got, again, I'm not going to dox you all the Justice Department, but you know who you are out there in the audience. Thank you very much. I saw it come through earlier today, and it does. I do appreciate it, and it does give me motivation to continue on in this struggle of independent media. And so you're showing you appreciate me, and I truly do appreciate you out there in the audience showing your support monetarily. And hey, if you can't afford it, I understand. Go to just give me the like, share, subscribe, push the notification button. All that's free. But if you can afford a little bit extra every month, become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack. Become a donor. Go to the store, patron the store, Weaponized News Substack or weaponizednews.com/shop. All those different ways to help support the broadcast. And again, to all these subscribers out there, paid first, obviously, and unpaid. Thank you very much on all the different social media channels out there. We're doing very well. I'd like to report we're doing very well on Facebook Reels. That's like the shorts or whatever. They got them on the different platforms. The little short TikTok videos, essentially like 2-minute videos, clips, right? Doing very well over there on the Facebook, weaponizednews.com Facebook page. And so for some reason, they're letting our reels actually play and get to the audience. And we haven't seen that in many, many years through all of this insane censorship that we've seen over the years since the bat times, right? And so for some reason, thank you, Meta, Facebook. We appreciate the spying, tracking, profiling, and we appreciate that you are not a continuation of LifeLog from the CIA that closed down and then you open the same day at Facebook. We know Zuckerberg built that in his college dorm room, right? Sure we do. Anyhow, we're doing pretty good over there, so I do appreciate them actually letting us get some traction as it used to be. It feels like what it kind of used to be, some organic traction. I know, God forbid, everything has to be AI, gauged, tweet, social engineered, right? But and they're doing all that. Make no mistake about that. But for some reason, they're letting, like I say, the reels play, and we're getting some action over there. So people are having an ear to listen, maybe a little bit. They don't get the full breadth of the show, but the point of that is to draw them in, give them some good reporting that they can take action on, and bring them into the big show over here. So again, thank you to everybody tuning in on this Monday edition of Weaponized News as the NBA playoffs are going on right now. So you're listening to me instead of watching that basketball game and watch Trump, by many accounts, get booed out of the stadium. That may be worth the watching it alone there now. But welcome back, and thank you for bearing with my rambling commercial break. Welcome back on this Monday edition, on this June 8th, 2026. Monday edition of Weaponized News. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Let's get into the USS Liberty. Here's Massey, Thomas Massey, on the House floor, bringing up the 59th anniversary of the attack by Aardvark land on the USS Liberty. And then I know Aardvarks are bastards for doing this, but they got their marching orders, and they got their orders from the Pentagon, bro, and from the White House, from freaking President Johnson. You know what I mean? So they're bastards, but so is our own U.S. government for allowing it at the very least to happen. I would argue they gave the order here now to try to start a war with freaking Egypt, with Russia even. So complete maniacs in all these governments. That's here from Massey now, commemorating the 59th anniversary of the attack on the USS Liberty.
June 8th, they started the day. The visibility was unlimited. The American flag was flying proudly on the USS Liberty. More planes came from Israel to surveil the boat, the ship. And they thought they were in good shape. But what happened next surprised them all. French Mirage jets showed up and for 25 minutes strafed and attacked the USS Liberty. They shot rockets. They shot 30-millimeter cannons into the hull and into the ship. They even dropped napalm on the bridge of the ship. This was an effort to kill everybody on board. There was no intention of taking prisoners. After the 25 grueling minutes of attack on this virtually unarmed ship, and they thought things were over and they could recover, the torpedo boats showed up, 3 torpedo boats. They launched 4 torpedoes. One of them hit the hull of the USS Liberty and killed 25 people instantly. It blew a 40-foot by 40-foot hole in the side of this ship. They were intent on sinking it. But they were also intent on not having a single survivor. According to eyewitness accounts, the Israelis machine gunned the lifeboats that they put down. They machine gunned the firefighters who were on the deck. They were bringing the wounded and the dead to the mess hall to triage them. They had one doctor who was trying to help them all, put a few stitches in. It was harrowing, and it's amazing. If not for that crew, that boat would have sunk that day. But it still wasn't over. Helicopters showed up, combat helicopters. And the USS Liberty, even though their signals were being jammed by the Israelis, got a signal out. And there were ships that tried to respond. The USS Saratoga, the USS America sent planes. Both of them sent planes to help the USS Liberty. And something happened that's never happened before. A ship under attack, the planes were recalled. This has never happened before. And they sat there for 17 hours. 34 dead, 174 wounded. Out of 294 crew members. That's over 70% casualty rate, unheard of. The Israelis were intent on leaving no survivor. And what about our own military? Why did they not send anybody for 17 hours to help these men? So what really happened? You know, the official reports say that it was a case of mistaken identity. But if you listen to Dean Rusk, former Secretary of State, Richard Helms, CIA Director, Bobby Ray Inman, head of the NSA, Captain Ward Boston, who was the chief counsel of the Court of Inquiry. If you listen to Admiral Moore, who served in Pearl Harbor, Midway, commanded both the Atlantic and Pacific Fleet, and was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, none of these distinguished men think this was an accident. They think it was intentional murder by the country of Israel, either as a false flag operation or because they simply didn't want anybody observing what they were doing that day. Well, I've got a call to action for everybody here. Honor these individuals. Quit ignoring that they exist. Go to their website, ussliberty.org. Support them. And while they're still alive, they need closure. Let's give them closure. Let's have an investigation. Let's pass a resolution honoring them. It's long overdue. And then they can have their justice. With that, I yield back. And I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the declaration of Ward Boston.
So clear antiseptic behavior there by Massey, calling for a new investigation into Aardvark Lam murder of U.S. Navy men. So clear antiseptic behavior there, why he lost in Kentucky. On to public health, we're trying to lobby to get Snow out there a brain chip because he's very non-compliant with all this stuff, with this one world government scientific dictatorship. So they're rolling out the brain chips here now. 6G AI brain chip rollout imminent. we're trying to start a campaign to get Snow one of these, because he's the most vocal protester out there against this kind of stuff. So he needs to get in line with the technocracy.
They're working on brain chips. Nokia's CEO said the smartphone as we know it by 2030 is going to be implanted literally in our bodies. And so they're going to install these artificial intelligence systems into our bodies, and it will be linked to 6G infrastructure, not 5G anymore. Trump signed an executive order a few months ago to accelerate the deployment of 6G. And in that order, it literally says one of the goals is to operate implantable technologies. So these brain chips and other AI devices will interface with 6G infrastructure. They're big cellular, big tech. They basically have a golden ticket to do whatever they want. And this is very, very dangerous. And people will go along with it, unfortunately. People are easily tricked, as we've seen in the past 5 years. But I will not go for it. I'm not going to take any sort of biological implant.
Well, we're going to have to get him an implant, and Snow. We had him on the show before. Nicholas. They're the head of the McCullough Foundation in that report. So we're going to have to make sure he gets a chip. Everybody gets a brain chip. And there's a war on everything. There's a war on the screw worm here now. Secretary Brooke Rollins of the USDA tells us. So there's a war on everything. There's a war on drugs. We're in a Cold War on China. There's a Cold War race to build a moon base, we're told. We're in, just war after war after war from the president of peace, no less. War on the screw worm now announced earlier today by the Secretary of the USDA. She says, we have been in full combat mode against this evasive threat since day one. Millions of sterile flies deployed weekly in the infected 20-kilometer zone alone. That's very un-American, using kilometers instead of miles. So that's we should take a look at her for, working with the enemy, working with the UK, probably trying to push that metric system on us again. Anyhow, just kidding. Continuing this report, she says infected 20-kilometer zone alone, 4 million by air plus 4 million by ground, plus an additional 90 million across the broader response area. New Texas production facility being fast-tracked at unprecedented speed. See, everything's got to be the urgency of the matter, Operation Warp Speed. It must be now. And that's how they ram through all this tyranny. Oh my God, the next crisis, the next. And they just keep hitting us over and over, never-ending crisis. Order out of chaos. This is all in an attempt to bring about your scientific dictatorship. All this ties together. That's what we're trying to do, connect the dots on our conspiracy board here now and show you who these mastermind criminals, it's a very small group, bringing in our dystopic future of one world government, scientific dictatorship. But everything must be now because there's an emergency now. Well, the government should, again, they should all walk themselves to the migrant detention centers, turn themselves in for racketeering amongst a legion of other crimes, and we should have no government. And we would be doing a lot better than this continuing here. I know public safety and they're keeping us safe and all that, but I've lost all confidence. They will never regain my trust. Excuse me for being an informed American citizen over here. Continuing with this report from the Secretary of the USDA, it says new Texas production facility being fast-tracked and at an unprecedented speed. Production facility coming online in Mexico in next month. Hopefully we could have the narco terrorists or the CIA run it. About one and the same there. Aggressive eradication efforts across the front line. this administration is working hand in hand with our Texas partners, delivering an unprecedented response, hitting harder, faster, and smarter than ever before. And here's the meme. And we played from Texas A&M University the science behind this alleged program. I don't know. I don't believe anything these liars say at this point. It sounds good. Science sounds like it works. Is that even what they're doing? I don't believe them. Excuse me. They say that they're using this bacteria on the females to mate with the males, and then create non-viable eggs, and then that will kill off the population. Allegedly, here now. New World screw worm. In a new era, a new World Order screw job by the health department. We do appreciate their efforts. There's a map of the alleged sightings of the screw worms, as we're now in a new World Order war against screw worms. U.S. confirms 4 cases of New World screw worm there. Just today, a dog there in Texas, Andrews County. Earlier this month, on June 3rd and 5th, saw 2 calves there in Zolva County. And then today, a calf there in La Salle County in Texas. And so maybe we should just, I don't know, balm the hell out of Texas. We do love balming, everyone. Ivermectin. I don't support it, but maybe this is the proper use. All this, it cures everything and all that. Forget about it. It's a freaking, it is an insecticide, right? It is poison. But allegedly, the original use was to kill parasites. Ivermectin kills New World screwworm in both humans and animals. 12 studies find 97% plus prevention of New World screwworm infestations in cattle wounds. Humans documented complete larval elimination in several oral and eye socket infestations. Horse paste, ivermectin. That just sounds disgusting, right? Maggots in eye socket infestations. How does that even happen? I don't know, but so there's a little infographic about it. Yeah. Imagine that, using the medicine what it was intended for, killing parasites. Imagine that. I do believe that ivermectin is effective at killing parasites. But hey, all these other claims out there, all I can say is fast and pray, man. But hey, we can't afford groceries. Buy your Ozempic at trumprx.gov, because you can't afford to pay for food any longer, because we're on Iran war day 101. Go to trumprx.gov and buy your synthetic Gila monster venom to curb your appetite and show your American pride. There you go. And they continue with the occult symbology, as above, so below, in the reflecting pool there. That was posted by Dr. Oz. HHS, Department of Health and Human Services, says 73 medical schools have now joined the Trump administration's nutrition education pledge after 19 schools signed on today. Imagine that. What? They're geniuses. Their intellect is beyond my comprehension, because now they're actually going to study nutrition in medical school here for Rockefeller Medicine in America in the year 2026. So these are smart guys. These doctors, man, let me tell you. They go through a press release here. The United States is in a chronic disease crisis. This is a press release by Health and Human Services. They say despite spending $4.4 trillion annually on treating chronic disease and mental health, an estimated 1 million Americans die from food-related chronic illness each year. to reverse the chronic disease epidemic, the practice of medicine must continue to improve with the emerging science that nutrition is a key driver of better health outcomes. Well, that's a conspiracy theory. We know that health comes from a syringe, right? Sure. So pushing that conspiracy theory, eating clean food could lead to better health out of Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s Department of Health and Human Services. All right, where are we at here? We still got a lot of news to cover. They're pushing police state for the soccer game. America doesn't even like soccer. Imagine that. A giant scam, a racketeering operation by FIFA, sponsored by Trump out of the White House. World Cup 2026. It's going to be awesome. It's a complete police state. And it'll be even more awesome. And we'll get to, are they going to pull a false flag attack at FIFA World Cup? Here they are on the War Channel, Fox News, bragging to how great the surveillance police state is.
This is going to be like 78 Super Bowls, both from the security perimeter, also from a counter UAS perspective. So last year, 5 events in the United States of America had counter drone measures. All 78 matches, including a fan fest in every single city will have that. We want to make sure more than anything.
F that fool, man. I like to choke that dude, excuse me, but man, all fired up about, yeah, you're going to have a police state, drones watching everything for your stupid soccer that America doesn't even like. It's an excuse to bring about and normalize the police state. The CDC now tells us through close collaboration and proactive planning, CDC has helped Kansas City prepare for safe and successful soccer events as the city prepares to host FIFA World Cup 2026 matches. CDC has partnered with state and local officials to support the health and well-being of fans, players, and communities. CDC experts have enhanced wastewater surveillance, laboratory capacity, and disease monitoring systems to strengthen early detection and improve situational awareness. For quick access to essential public health information, visit cdc.gov/soccer. So now we need a full-on public health crisis emergency planning for some freaking soccer matches. Really? What are they going to spawn out of this? CDC safety for soccer fans. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe, and is a complete and utter failure at basic public health. The United States is proud to be one of the 3 countries hosting this summer's international soccer competitions. This page gives quick access to essential public health information to help fans stay prepared and safe as they travel and attend soccer matches. CDC works with partners at all levels of government to support a healthy World Cup 2026 for soccer fans and host communities. And they say, well, they're offering tips for hygiene and food safety, heat health, miracle preventive diseases, air quality, alcohol and substance abuse prevention, keep eye on the play, travelers' health, respiratory illnesses, STDs, vector-borne diseases, disaster and emergency preparedness. So all of this you could expect are potential false flags. They may launch here now. And also these FIFA World Cups are for the Epsteiners out there. There's going to be a bunch of human trafficking going on at all of these events as well. You better believe that. Multiple agencies and hospitals just war-gamed Ebola and MERS outbreaks specifically for World Cup beginning in 3 days. Is this the false flag they're going to launch at the World Cup? The National Special Pathogen System just simulated a MERS outbreak emerging from the tournament. New York City health officials just ran an Ebola drill. Remember Event 201 right before the bat times? Report out of Politico here. Oh, got the wrong screen there. Apologies. Let me see if I can get that up here for you. And here's the screenshot of Politico. How do you stop Ebola at the World Cup? Well, of course, spread it there is how you would stop it, because everything is a satanic inversion of reality in our dystopic world. So, of course, you would spread it there to help stop it, because we trust public health. A little bit on the AI surveillance data centers. A rare win. Jason Bassler from Free Thought Project posted. Old Kevin O'Leary, this character, he should be deported to the moon base, in my opinion. But this, he's a racketeer, should actually be arrested on racketeering charges, organized crime. O'Leary has committed to slashing his hyper-scale Utah data center project by 75% when people speak up. Even the biggest, loudest millionaire land grabbers will backpedal. Their voice still matters. We'll see. We'll have to. They always put out PR propaganda head fakes as well. Oh yeah, we didn't know you guys were. Hey, come on, guys, come on. Care about the future. So we'll have to follow this, because they put out a lot of fake stories as well to try to do a head fake on us. We're following this one. So maybe we don't have to give Nicholas and Snow a brain chip after all. If we just push back, enough people push back, we don't have to hold them down and put a brain chip in them. Hopefully we can get to that point. Congress has a new intelligence bureau and it's spying on Americans, critical of AI. Free Thought Project reports. And we reported when it came out from Ken Klippenstein, right, and Dan Boguslaw, about, there is a new intelligence agency out there, the Capitol Police Intelligence Services Bureau, that has an all-seeing eye on you, critical of their surveillance centers being built all over the country. All right, where are we at here? Are we on to the economy yet? I got off a little bit. Let's see. Now a little bit more on, Albania is still protesting. They're still having anti-corruption protests for the 9th day here now. Massive crowds filled the Tirana Square in Albania, protesting the Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump. We just found this island because we're blessed by Satan routine. Here's a little report on the continuing protests there in Albania. I do like they brought pink flamingos down there at the bottom, you could see, to the protest. And so, all these people should be sanctioned, throned, because they need that. They need an Epstein Island 2.0. And so that takes precedent over these people that think it's their land. You know what I mean? They shouldn't have built Albania around Epstein Island 2.0, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump's new luxury resort plan there on the retired Soviet submarine base. Let's watch this report out of Newsweek about it.
The luxury resort project tied to Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump has sparked days of protests in Albania, and it's becoming an international controversy. The project would transform Sazan Island, the mostly undeveloped island off Albania's coast, into a high-end tourist destination. Supporters say it could bring billions in investment, create jobs, and help turn Albania into a premier Mediterranean travel hotspot. But critics say the environmental impact costs could be enormous. Protesters warn the surrounding area includes sensitive habitats for migratory birds, sea turtles, and the endangered Mediterranean monk seal, saying the project could damage largely untouched ecosystems. There are also concerns about transparency and corruption. Activists have questioned how approvals were granted, and whether politically connected investors received favorable treatment. Allegations supporters of the project reject. And there's another layer to the story. Run Island was once a secretive military zone under Albania's communist regime. The island is dotted with roughly 3,600 concrete bunkers and contains an estimated 10 miles of underground tunnels built during the Cold War. Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama has strongly defended the project, dismissing much of the criticism as hysteria and arguing opponents are targeting it because of the Trump family connection. Developers have also said they intend to build responsibly and deliver economic benefits to the region. But the controversy has drawn attention from the European Union, which issued a warning about development in protected areas as Albania seeks EU membership. It's become a battle over environmental protection, economic development, political influence, and Albania's future. And with protests continuing, the fight over the small Mediterranean island is only getting bigger.
Well, they gotta make a Epstein 2.0 island there, and of course, it's looking like this is a payoff for Kushner helping start the Iran war. Where are we at here now in the reporting? I skipped ahead, excuse me. We got to go back to the economic section. Got a little bit too excited there. And we had the Epstein section. We just had too much news today. Me ranting too much. Let's get to a little Epstein reporting. Epstein victim says she had dinner at Andrew's Palace apartment. A woman abused by Epstein has said that she had dinner at Prince Andrew's, now defrocked Prince, Montalbán Windsor's private apartment in Buckingham Palace. That's a BBC. Let's see, anything. Yeah, the Epstein files cover-up continues as now Todd Blanche, Trump's personal attorney, acting director of the Department of Justice. Trump nominates Todd Blanche for Attorney General amid controversy over DOJ fund. I'd say there's even a bigger controversy over the fact that doxed and continue to cover up the Epstein files. So what a better guy to put in place there, Todd Blanche, the height of corruption out of the Department of Justice, Trump's Department of Justice for that matter. Headline, more about this abuse, Andrew Tate, for the past 9 months. Who's this? Heidi Blake posted, I've investigated Andrew Tate's empire of sexual exploitation, drawing on thousands of private messages and sealed court files, as well as interviews with the Tates, their associates, and more than a dozen alleged victims. Yeah, they're sex abusers, traffickers, and probably gay too. Just throwing that in there for Pride Month for these manly men. Let's see here. The hidden figure with close ties to Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. Wall Street Journal. It was September 2017, and Dr. Melanie Walker's work with Bill Gates was coming to an end. For more than a decade, Walker had worked at the Gates Foundation and then the billionaire's private office. By the summer of 2027, the relationship between Walker and Gates had turned sexual. According to people familiar with the matter, Walker was planning her exit. She turned to one of her closest confidants, a mentor who supported her and advised her for nearly 3 decades. Jeffrey Epstein, what a mentor and advisor to the woman having an affair with Bill Gates. Melanie Walker. So a monster. There you go. And so that's she's a big reason why we had to drop Bill Gates as our doctor, right? Because it came out that he had to get that divorce. His wife left him and said, not the Epstein stuff. That's bad, but you're cheating with coworkers here now. Bill Gates, so could no longer be our doctor. I know he saved the world once, but We can't have this this man of low moral character, Bill Gates, be our doctor when he's cheating on his wife openly like this with Dr. Melanie Walker, who's a close confidant and mentor for nearly 3 decades, was Jeffrey Epstein. That's what the Wall Street Journal's reporting here now. I know. It's horrific. This monster is back at Goldman Sachs. Shocking, I know. Kathy Rumler, and she was former top attorney under the Barack Hussein Obama Barry Soetoro administration, top lawyer at Goldman Sachs. She's the advisor for Goldman Sachs now after resigning over Epstein ties. And so she's a complete psychopath, talking about doing all this weird sadomasochist, the leather, the whips and chains, the torture, the freaking, all of it, right? So we continue to report on her. This psycho should be locked up. But yeah, she's back advising Goldman Sachs. Shocking, I know. They're all insane criminals. They're all insane criminals. Here's a report on Aaron Parnas on the Donald J. Trump Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room opening up in Washington, D.C. tomorrow and staying open through Trump's birthday. Let's watch this report about it.
In time for Donald Trump's birthday, the Epstein Files Library is in Washington, D.C., right in Donald Trump's backyard, and I have the first look. I'm going to show it to you right now. Here's a major timeline of everything related to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. In the Epstein Files Library, every single Epstein file that has been partially redacted and printed by the DOJ is printed out. Binders on binders. Over 3,000 of these volumes, millions and millions of pages. These are all Epstein files. There's a station for you to call the DOJ and to demand the release of all of the remaining files. Remember, there are 6 million total files. They've only released about half of them. And this is a wall of notes that is going to start growing. A lot of these notes are from the New York stop. The DC stop is going to explode after.
Looks like a bunch of conspiracy theorists to me.
After people come. Let me show you some of them. If you're in Washington, D.C., this will be officially open on June 9th in 2 days, and will be open just in time and on Donald Trump's birthday, June 14th. What better birthday present to give the president than to come here, call his DOJ, and demand the release of the...
It is a great birthday present for Trump. And also, while you're at it, celebrate America 250 by going to Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room there in Washington, D.C. So the Trump Epstein Reading Room has every page printed and bound into 3,437 volumes on display, just blocks from the White House and around the corner from Trump's Department of Justice. Well, it's just a Democrat hoax. Nothing to worry about there. Sure. So here's their efforts. Trumpsonian.us is the name of their site. They have a couple different sites, but the Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room there. So people should take a look at that. Trump's name appears over 38,000 times in over 5,800 documents in the Epstein files. If you printed out those 5,800 plus documents on 8.5 by 11 standard paper size, right? Paper, and place them end to end, the Trump Epstein files documents would go from one end of the reflecting pool to the other, and then back to the start, and then 2/3 of the way back again. I think they made this. Who's this? Mo Davis says the retired U.S. Air Force man. I think they made this post because of mocking Trump when he was holding up that graph about different monuments, right? Different buildings, and the size of the reflecting pool that was just restored there in D.C. And again, Trump nominates Todd Blanche for Attorney General, head of Epstein Files cover-up, along with, I can't look at you straight, won the Epstein Files cover-up gold medal, Kash Patel, out of the FBI. So those two are a great team working together to continue the cover-up of the Epstein conspiracy. Okay, on to economic reporting here now. And I had more Epstein reporting, but nothing really that significant. Maybe we'll circle back tomorrow. And due to the interest of time, we're going to get to the economic reporting section of the show here now. Report out of Reuters, U.S. consumer sentiment has plunged to record low. Cost of living is a top concern, and 57% of consumers cite high prices as the cost of erosion of their personal finances. Well, they just hate America, right? They're just panicking. We can't afford to eat, bro. The portion of Americans who said jobs are plentiful dropped to 25.5%, the lowest in 3 years, according to the Associated Press. Sam Bankman-Fried files Trump pardon application, long shot bid for freedom. Remember FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, however you say his stupid name, ran that giant crypto scam backed up by a bunch of celebrities. And, well, he's now serving a 25-year plus jail sentence and was forced to forfeit $11 billion in assets here now as part of his fraud flim-flam scheme of crypto scamming. He was convicted November 2023 on 7 counts of fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering tied to the November 2020 collapse of FTX and Alameda Research. Yeah, he's well-meaning. It was just a mistake, right? Sure. Continuing here, Google and NVIDIA consider Intel as backup chip manufacturer. Yeah, it's a circle jerk of fraud as we continue to report here. They're all buying, selling, lending, faking up their balance sheets based on each other's balance sheets. So, yeah, it's an incredible level of, well, we've never seen such a fraud because anything and everything must be brought to bear to bring about scientific dictatorship, one world government, i.e. technocracy. Every resource must be brought to bear, and every fraud, scheme, racketeering operation must be brought to bear to fulfill our destiny of total digital enslavement. Hey, the economy is rough. And look at this. They're destroying everything, every system, every sense of honor, ethics, doing the right thing, this kind of stuff. I know all that's conspiracy and we should just be pure evil bastards like they are. But some of us would like to think, and there is such a thing, I do believe, as karma in this universe. You're going to get you're going to reap what you sow, either in this life or the next, and most likely in this life. But they're destroying everything here now, our entire culture and systems on the back of their corruption. That is the financial system. Here now, a mockery of the system. This report of in the sports world stunned by reinstatement of Texas Tech quarterback who was suspended for betting on games. So what is even the point? You know what I mean? You can just gamble now. The sports world was rocked earlier today when news that Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby would play in the upcoming season despite his gambling scandal. In late April, Sorsby checked himself into rehab for gambling addiction after it was discovered he had placed thousands of bets since at least 2022. The NCAA eventually ruled him ineligible for the 2026 season. Earlier today, however, Sorsby was granted a temporary injunction against the NCAA's ruling. The injunction was granted by district judge in Lubbock, Texas, and it restores Sorsby's eligibility for the season. In the ruling, the judge deemed that Sorsby demonstrated that he will suffer a probable intent and irreparable injury if he were unable to play in the upcoming seasons. So just do whatever. There's no rule. Bet on the game, bet to lose. Who cares? You know what I mean? There's no ethics, no honor, no nothing. A disastrous Kevin Clark on the X in this Mediaite article about it. Kevin Clark on the X, they post, they're citing him in this Mediaite article. Kevin Clark says a disastrous ruling as there's ever been in modern sports. The pathway is now clear. Gamble as much as you like, including on your own team, and hope you are or get good enough that you can lawyer up down the line a much bigger disaster than anything in NIL or portal. And that's a name like this likeness image where they pay college athletes now, right? But yeah, hell, bet on your team against them. Who cares? Just keep on playing. We're legit over here, bro. But that's a sign of the times in this failing economy and pushing gambling degeneracy on the country. Another sign of the times here now in our struggling economy, woman 44 years old drugged and robbed older men from dating apps. One victim died. Aurora Phillips, a dual U.S. Mexican citizen, allegedly lured at least 3 men, stole $50,000 from one victim, and texted his son pretending to be him. Her husband says he never saw this side of her. We're going to see more and more of this activity as the economy gets worse and worse. China's car sales fell 22.1% last month in May, according to a report out of Bloomberg. Bank of America has said that 70% of its bear market indicators have been triggered. Everything's fine. More from Bank of America. Bank of America says there are too many red flags in the stock market. You don't say. Bank of America. More from Bank of America. They say it's time to take profits in this market. So Bank of America is basically saying, we're out, bro. We're out, bro. Inflation is officially rising faster than wages, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Shocking, I know, but just have a Trump $250 bill that's worth about as much as this $1 bill used to be and eat it. Onto the AAA national average for the price of a gallon of gasoline, and it has gone down a little bit. It went up over the weekend, but back down today to $4.16. You can see right here. Yesterday, Sunday, it was $4.17, and it went down 1 cent today to $4.16 on average across America. Your price for a gallon of gasoline there, according to AAA tracking system. And then according to Brown University, the Watson School of International and Public Affairs, the total consumer cost burden since the beginning of the Iran war, it started February 28, 2026, and the total consumer cost burden of the Iran war on the American people is $55.8 billion. It'll be up to 56 by tomorrow. As you can see, their calculator going faster than the eye can see. And the household burden per U.S. household across both gasoline and diesel is up to $425.78. Don't be a panicking. Take your Ozempic from TrumpRx.gov. Stop complaining about trying to be able to afford to eat. They're offering you $50 off Ozempic at trumprx.gov. And that's a solution to our failing economy that they've offered up now. Just take more drugs. Lindsey Graham is my complete and total endorsement, Trump says. He will never let you down. And so that right there, Trump should be out on his ass. If any of these MAGAs were real, they're all fake at this point. You have to be fake and gay in Pride Month to still support Trump and his endorsement of Lindsey Graham. It's laughable. If it would be laughable, it wasn't so tragic. On to our geopolitical section of the show. Bolivia is gripped by an indefinite general strike, now on its 36th day plus. This is a report out of the Clash report. So Bolivia is having a general strike there with ongoing protests. La Paz and El Alto are under blockade siege, causing severe shortages of fuel, food, medicine, and oxygen, with 7 to 10 deaths linked to the blockade. Triggered by Law 1720, later repealed, and deepening economic woes, the strike is led by peasant unions with the backing of Evo Morales-aligned groups. President Ringo Paz just signed a new states of exception law giving security forces stronger tools to clear blockades, but protesters are now demanding his resignation outright. And there's a little bit of video about the protest and the, of course, New World Order police in their black uniforms. I guess they have like the gray black looking kind of camouflage. You can see a little bit here in this video. There you go. So we do appreciate the police state efforts there in Bolivia to oppress the peoples. The Kremlin, are we going to see peace finally? Maybe? No, not so much. In Russia-Ukraine proxy war. The Kremlin said earlier today it is difficult to imagine how negotiations with the current Kiev regime could take place at this time. This is all following, we've been tracking it, right? Zelensky wrote an open letter saying, let's have a peace deal, maybe. The Kremlin said, come to Moscow. Not so much action there. But hey, take heed in the fact that Russia TV is reporting Zelensky is in talks with Trump envoys Witkoff and Kushner. Oh, and they cite Axios on that. So if these bastards can't continue the racketeering operation known as the proxy Ukraine war, I don't know who can, and to profiteer off it handsomely. How does Kushner have a job, seriously, at this point? Unless his job is to fail and cause major wars. Because if his job was legitimately to negotiate a peace deal with Iran, he's failed to the point of causing thousands and thousands and thousands of deaths, and to the point of causing billions and billions and billions and billions of injury, of economic damage. We're looking at a global famine. We're looking at millions in the third and fourth world starving to death, tens of millions going into poverty because of Jared Kushner's failings. Unless that, like I say, was his original intent to start this war. How does this mother effer have a freaking job at this point? He's still negotiating for Trump on America's behalf. Apparently his job is to profiteer handsomely off the rest of the world and cause unmeasurable harms. There was a few earthquakes today. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit the Philippines, killing at least 35 people and collapsing buildings, and sparked a tsunami as well. That's a report out of the Associated Press here. An offshore earthquake with a magnitude of 7.8 hit the southern Philippines earlier today, killing at least 35 people, injuring more than 200 others, mostly in ruined buildings. and sending a 1 meter tsunami into nearby coast. That's like 3 feet. That's not much of a tsunami, thankfully. Not more damage caused there in this tragic loss of life by a 7.8. That's a big earthquake. They're off the coast of the Philippines. Thankfully, they didn't have a giant tsunami, and it was only about 1 meter high, the wave there. Strong earthquake off northwest Cuba felt in South Florida. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the 6.1, I don't know, I got my numbers transposed there. The 6.1 magnitude quake happened about 65 miles northwest of Mantua on the northwest side of Cuba. Here's a little map from a U.S. Geological Survey. Are they hitting Cuba with earthquake weapons? It right here, allegedly, was felt up in Florida. And Cuba felt it hitting right there. Is that an earthquake weapon? I don't know. I do believe earthquakes really happen naturally, but I also do believe they have earthquake weapons. And they keep saying Cuba's next, bro. Cuba's next. So they're already under economic sanctions, naval blockade. We have a greater North America to build, and Cuba's in the way there. So might as well hit them with an earthquake weapon. I don't know if that happened, just speculation on my part, but nothing would surprise me at this point with the Department of War and the maniacs in charge there. Continuing, no tsunami threat. So thankfully, it did not trigger a tsunami. That's 6.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Cuba. They keep saying we're going to take Cuba any day now. So the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, that's what we're calling, that's what U.S. Southern Command is calling the project to build our region of one world government, North America project, and the greater North America and our section of technocracy, essentially here now. The America's Counter Cartel Coalition is delivering results, applying systemic pressure to disrupt cartels and narco-terrorists across the Western Hemisphere, U.S. Southern Command tells Senate Post. They say they got, in coordination with the Peruvian Navy, they detected cocaine contaminated cargo on containers ship Del Monte Harvester. Peruvian authorities seized a lot of cocaine, 906.95 kilograms of cocaine off this ship, allegedly. So they're trying to hem up these rogue cartels and consolidate all of the racketeering here now underneath the U.S. Department of War and intelligence agencies. And even if you're set up by the CIA and other U.S. intel, they're looking hard at you now because we need a boogeyman to go ahead and wage all these interventions in Mexico, Central and South America for our own public safety, of course, to get those dirty narco drug traffickers. Where the evidence goes, nobody seems to notice or care, but the dogs seem to always have wide eyes and are running around very quickly after these busts. Just saying. Okay, continuing here. They're talking about the more U.S. Central Command. They're consistently doing training exercises with all these Central and South American countries. In this post earlier today, they're talking about doing training exercises in Puerto Rico. And so the whole area there now is hot. As they say, meme of the day from the Department of War, requests for solutions. And so we're on, it's a war. We're looking for solutions for hypersonic missiles, for directed energy. Here's the request from the Department of War for electro-optic and infrared EOIR systems. Solutions due by June 29, 2026. So here's the meme of the day from the Department of War. There, the Department of War Advanced Materials Office, in partnership with Navy Sea Crane, has officially released the Advanced Technology Development Opportunity for Critical Low-Risk Electro-Optical Alternatives for Resilience Clear, executed via the Two Smarts Other Transactions Agreement and the next NSTXL Consortium. This opportunity will sponsor 3 performers over 24 months with total investments of $7.5 million to accelerate the development of alternative optical materials supporting electro-optical and infrared EOIR systems. So yeah, what do they call it in Europe? The societal mobilization, a la NATO language. They've said, well, there is no economy now except for fraud, be an AI data guy, or help make more weapons of war for the Department of War. That's where we're at in this golden age of Trump's economy. The Arsenal of Freedom. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, posted that earlier today as they went around to all the military-industrial complex praising how wonderful they are. And they're building out an expansion now at Boeing Defense in St. Louis, Missouri. And so very exciting there, continuing the war profiteering operations. And never forget, war is a racket and all wars are bankers' wars. So never forget that. But hey, we're in the Arsenal of Freedom tour, bro. So we have that to look forward to as the military-industrial complex continues to profiteer handsomely off of the death and destruction wrought by the Department of War. On to EU imposes sanctions over Strait of Hormuz closure targets Iranian officials. The European Union has slapped sanctions on Iranian officials and an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, command unit today. So we have more sanctions there on those dirty Iranian terrorists out of the EU. A woman was detained by British police in London for displaying a cardboard sign supporting Gaza. I'm being arrested for holding a cardboard sign, whereas our government feels the need to sell weapons and use our air bases to commit genocide in Palestine, is what she said in this video. And we'll just continue on, but it's good to know UK holding it down for Aardvark land. They're arresting protesters with cardboard signs for supporting Gaza. It's got to kick up hot and heavy here. They're leveling Lebanon. That continues. But before we get to that, Yemen strikes Tel Aviv area, declared total ban on Aardvark land shipping in the Red Sea. So we're waiting for that, and here it is, announced earlier today. The Yemeni armed forces launched a missile barrage targeting what it describes as sensitive Aardvark land targets in Jaffa area of Tel Aviv, claiming the strikes achieved their objective with precision, according to a statement from the Sana'a-based Saba news agency. The Yemeni armed forces also declared a complete and total ban on Aardvark land maritime navigation in the Red Sea, stating that all Aardvark land movements would be considered legitimate military targets from the moment of the announcement. The statement warned that escalation will be met with escalation, with operations set to intensify in coordination with the axis of resistance spanning Yemen, Iran, Lebanon, Gaza, and Iraq. Trump brought about peace in the Middle East, bro. That's why they're getting ready to go do another round of full-on war. Aardvark War Minister Aardvark Katz says that any attack on the northern communities will lead to an attack on Lebanon. Dahia. The IDF will continue to operate in Lebanon against the Hezbollah terrorist organization. He added that Aardvark categorically rejects Iran's threats. Any Iranian attempt to link Lebanon and Iran and attack Aardvark will be met with great force, as happened yesterday. And there's reports Smotrich is lobbying, Finance Minister of Aardvark Smotrich, one of our favorite Bond villains out there, that he's lobbying to go ahead and do the proxy war thing, saying if Iran hits them, they're going to go ahead and hit Lebanon. They're already hitting Lebanon, so hit them that much harder. And they've also said for every drone launched by Hezbollah, they're going to demo 10 Lebanese buildings, right? That's been the calls over the last couple of weeks here now. So Hezbollah, their and Houthi drones were launched toward Aardvark earlier today. Hezbollah drones have crossed into northern Aardvark territory. Footage shared by Hezbollah says, despite Katz today threatening new strikes on Beirut's southern suburbs. So, and didn't Iran say you hit Beirut and it's going to be full on war here? And so we're like this, we're like there, right? We're like this thin of not full on thousands of missiles flying every direction. We're like very close to being back at that point in this war. Aardvark violated Lebanon ceasefire nearly 3,500 times since April. Report out of the cradle there. And we'll show a little bit of this footage, but yeah, they continue to level southern Lebanon, village of Dawir earlier today. And you can see creating the apocalyptic hellscape a la Gaza Strip, now in southern Lebanon. The Greater Aardvark project continues. Leveling the whole place there. And there's more. There's a lot more footage. Here's in Aardvark a drone strike targeted vehicle near Lebanese Red Cross in Tyre, southern Lebanon. You can see a highly populated area there. Do we have another image? Yeah, you can see here another image of the drone strike on Lebanon by Aardvark. And it's ongoing. There's many of these images. Here's the aftermath of Aardvark strike on Al-Qaryab in southern Lebanon. They're leveling the joint. There you go. Leveling the place. Hezbollah announced 7 operations earlier today, and they go through and detail them all here. As think of that. And I saw people posting about it. It's funny. Lebanese government's essentially puppets of America and Aardvark. And so imagine that. Iran and their proxy militias, Hezbollah, does more to defend the Lebanese people against Aardvark aggression than the actual Lebanese government and military. Imagine that. But that's where we're at in this whole canard of a situation. Another Aardvark attack on medics. As we continue to report, they're systematically destroying and massacring Lebanese public health infrastructure. Lebanese Ministry of Public Health today said that Aardvark attack in Tyre in front of the Red Cross Center killed 5 people and wounded 8 more, including 4 medics in the Red Cross. They're targeting paramedics, first responders, doctors, nurses, anybody with a Band-Aid at this point. You can see, blew them up, killed 4 there, or killed 5, excuse me. Wounding 8 medics there today as the campaign to destroy Lebanese public infrastructure is ongoing. Lebanese health ministry said aardvark land attacks since March 2nd have killed 3,637 people and wounded 11,188 others. In the last, 24 hours, 24 Lebanese were killed and 116 others wounded in aardvark land airstrikes and artillery shelling attacks across southern Lebanon. And they're like, but they're still whacking those Palestinians. Yeah, they are. They still are whacking those Palestinians. Systematic extermination of the Palestinians continues. Gaza's Interior Ministry recorded 1,701 births and 1,059 deaths across all of Gaza in May, less than 40% of the territory's pre-war monthly birth averages of 4,600 to 4,800. And that's by design, right? So no more new Palestinians for you. The dramatic decrease reflects the collapse of privacy and healthcare, mass displacement, and prolonged siege, including for roughly 150,000 pregnant and nursing mothers forcibly displaced into overcrowded tent encampments. And then you may be bombed in a tent. The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, IPC, reported that 55,500 pregnant and breastfeeding women in Gaza require urgent treatment for acute malnutrition. Miscarriages have skyrocketed per the Gaza Ministry of Health. Palestinians also report severe lack of sanitation and clean water. That's part of the siege here now. And they break down the births, which are very low. Gaza 635, Kianis 286, North Gaza 282, Central Gaza 273, and Rafah 225 there. With a breakdown of the depopulation program going on in Gaza. The genocide continues. 8-year-old Jad Soliman, 8 years old, man. Here, I guess we can show this to you. It's not that gory. They got him wrapped up already. 8-year-old here was killed by aardvark land strike on his way to school. There he is, dead in the Jabalia refugee camp. Aardvark land strikes across Gaza Strip killed at least 7 Palestinians and wounded at least 12 earlier today. So we could just say in the last 24 hours. Yeah. They go through and detail these attacks. That's a report out of Drop Site News. There's video. It just goes on. There's a helicopter shooting missiles at people. It's just, what do you even say to this anymore, man? Don't be an antiseptic. I know the routine. It's just absurd for anybody that wants to look at what is actually going on there, which is genocide. Aardvark land attacks have killed 36 Palestinians in the first week of June alone, including 3 children, 6 women. They go through and detail all of that in these reports. That's out of Drop Site News again, and they're linking to translating Palestine, Translasting Pal there on the X. And then final report today, and we'll wrap up this broadcast because I know everybody wants to watch that NBA Finals and Trump there, right? Sure. And I did see a flash of Trump did get booed, but they'll turn around and say it was cheers. Aardvark has killed 978 Palestinians and launched more than 1,400 airstrikes and shelling attacks since agreeing to a ceasefire in Gaza. Aardvark forces have carried out at least 3,189 ceasefire violations across Gaza since the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement was reached last October, according to a report shared by the Palestinian side with mediators and obtained by Dropsite News. And they go through and detail those reports of attacks. So again, destroying the meaning of words. Ceasefire means continue the genocide to the aardvarks. And any questioning of it, you're the bad one. They continue to tell us, and you're an antiseptic, and oh my gosh, 6 million, and the whole routine that we've become so accustomed to. And it's disgusting beyond the pale of imagination at this point. And again, I challenge anybody, go look at this. Go look at these reports. The genocide is continuing. They're carrying out ethnic cleansing, land theft, genocide on the Lebanese and the Palestinians here now. It's ongoing to build out the greater Aardvark land project, bleeding into Syria. They want some of Jordan bad. They want some of Egypt bad as well. And they wouldn't surprise me if they go ahead and attack them as well here now, as they've lost their mind, the Aardvark land government, with the backing of America, of course, because they could never do any of this without U.S. backing. Now, could they? Top headlines out of Iran. Iran envoy signals hope for U.S. deal after brief clash with Aardvark land. I love their terminology. Everybody's sitting there with a finger on the trigger, and they're just like, make a move, bro. That's where we're at. Paper thin signals of hope. It's like this thin is our hope that this whole thing doesn't spiral into full-on ballistic missiles and the whole routine again, and full-on, air fighter jet, drones, bombers, run through the routine, all the ways they got to kill people. You know what I mean? And they do have many ways to kill people. And so we hope that doesn't happen here. Let's pray for peace. Let's hope something backs down. But it's, again, the main sticking point: release Iranian frozen funds, the money you stole from the Iranians, and stop killing the Lebanese and the Palestinians. Aardvark land seems hell-bent on continuing greater Aardvark land projects. So those two things do not link up here. Now, we can't reconcile those two issues with Aardvark land as long as they're hell-bent on their greater Aardvark land project and the building of the third temple and the fake Messiah and all that routine that we covered here for you now. And it seems nothing except for America could stop them for fulfilling their prophecy. And it seems many in America Department of War are fully backing it, including Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Very sad state of affairs we find ourselves in on day 101 of the Iran war. Latest headlines out of Al Jazeera, and then we'll wrap up this broadcast for you. Trump warns Netanyahu as Aardvark land. Iran halt attacks, but trade threats. The UN questions the legality of Aardvark land forced evacuation orders in Lebanon. Yeah, it's ethnic cleansing. It's a war crime. Who cares? You know what I mean? Vance says U.S. in good position to achieve goals in Iran talks. Oil prices edge higher amid fears of renewed Middle East fighting. They're fighting right now. Like, to what level of escalation, I guess. It's how to gauge it, because they're shooting at each other right now, all over the joint. Iranian envoy to UN hopes U.S.-Iran talks reach conclusion by the end of June. Don't we all, bro? Don't we all? Don't we all? All right, that's all the reporting we got for today. Let's head over to Odysee channel. See if I can find that chat on the Odysee. We're there. Shout out to the Odysee audience and those in the chat there. Fat Bob John, Highland. Shout out to Pink Vegas there. Let's see. They're chatting amongst themselves there. Shout out to Deep. Let's go True Promise. They're getting ready to crank up Operation True Promise. I don't even know what mission it would be on, but yeah. Fat Bob says, I'm just saying from all the data I read for years now, I see this from data regarding central banks of the world and all their lingo and chaos. Good point. Good point there, Bob. Data centers, redneck, a tad. Data center, redneck, a tad. Regardless of all this, Rothschild shall not be moved. This is all they're doing. They have minions top to bottom. They are Lucifer, God of this realm, not God of the universe, Fat Bob said. Pretty well put. Pretty well put there, Fat Bob. They say they don't give a rat's arse about the basketball game. Oh man, I don't either, honestly. But to see Trump booed will be funny, I think. Danger says the dystopian nightmare they are leading us into is going to be just that. It's gonna surely get interesting very soon. Well, it's already getting very interesting. Interesting as in the Chinese curse, John says. All right, you guys. I'm telling you, man. May you be blessed to live in interesting times, and we are there. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee, chatting that up, keeping it for the most part cordial, informative, and very good. We have a great listenership on the Odysee there, and mature chatters for the mature chatters out there. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee, X, Kick, Bitchute, Substack, Rumble, and YouTube. There, I didn't even look at one of the Rumble or YouTubes today because I didn't want to get distracted because we had so much news to cover. And I still skipped a bunch too in the interest of time, as we're already at 2 hours and a half. Scrolling up halfway here, shout out to Carrie. Shout out to Jimmy. Thank you for not dropping us there, Jimmy. Not trying to be mean to you guys. Honestly, I think, and I keep reporting, they're setting all this up to scapegoat, right? And so, and I'm not trying to be a hater about it. Carrie on the Rumble said, I told my congressman to vote like Massey. Indeed. MAGA is some kind of creepy religion. Trump is their God, Jimmy says. Maybe. It's not politics. If anyone turns against their creepy religion, they are the enemy. If they don't worship their God, Trump. Yeah, it's a cult, right? It's called the cult of personality, right? But I believe many are fake. I believe many of these accounts you see on the internet are bots or just straight up paid shills or clownfluencers, paid clownfluencers. I believe some because I know people who are just, set in their ways. And then you do have the whole QAnon. There's still people holding on to that after that's been thoroughly debunked. But I would say the large majority, it's fake out there at this point. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Because like I said, I do know people in real life that they just refuse to acknowledge any of Trump's wrongdoings and lies. Right? So, but it still feels like there's giant fundings of bot armies and paid shills and clownfluencers as well. Let's see here. Terry says you can't install Facebook. Every phone in America already has installed. Are AU smartphones the same? Oh, they're talking about in Australia. Do smartphones in Australia pre-installed Facebook on it? Probably. I don't know. Max says he's unhinged and hallucinating medic. Ruckus says technically only brainless people would get a brain chip. So how will that work exactly? I'm at war with myself. They meant kilometers. Okay, we got that straight. Thank you, Ruckus. Max says fish and chips. Now isn't so soon enough. Shout out to A-Dub Silver on the Rumble, A-Dub on the YouTube. Let's see. That's some shit right there. They're gonna fly in more third worlders hitting the stadium. Laughing my ass off. We are so effed. Let's hope none of this happens, but man. Let's hope it doesn't happen, honestly, but the CDC's keeping us safe, so we know who to blame if anything does go wrong at these World Cups. The CDC failed, right? Denver says, I bet she eats people. Are they talking about that Goldman Sachs woman? Probably. The lawyer. She's now an advisor to Goldman Sachs. Never mind her. She was best friends with Epstein. Yeah. Denver says, hey, CC, now both of my CPUers are broken. Good times, just in time for me to spend 400% more on components thanks to data centers. Yeah, we do appreciate them eating up all of the resources to bring about technocracy. Heal Gaza, Max says. I'm with you, but there will be no healing. Missiles are best against makeshift tents. I had somebody, I forget even where, saying, oh, that's all made up. I was like, bro, we got video. It's documented. They've done it many times now because you don't want to believe it, how evil Aardvark land is to literally be bombing refugees in tents. Just because you don't want to believe it or whatever, you're paid shill or whatever the issue is, I can guarantee you it's 100% true that this is happening. We've seen it. We've seen multiple videos, multiple different sources, multiple different occasions that indeed they are doing that. I want to vomit when I hear you, A-Dub. I want to vomit too, man. I saw Trump getting booed, kind of interesting, Ruckus says. Yeah, we'll have to follow up on that tomorrow. The fallout of Trump's narcissism. Even big conservative and Coulter's had enough. You know what I mean? Everybody's had enough. It's just bullshit. And we don't have to cater to Trump or any of the 0.00001%, all these rich scam artists, racketeer assholes. You know what I mean? And I see Snow and a bunch of other people. Ruckus, too, is making the point. There's like a very small group of these assholes, right? And the 8 billion, whatever, the rest of us. We don't have to put up with this shit. That's the whole point of technocracy, to get humans out of the equation, automate everything with autonomous weaponized systems, and the Terminator will see you soon. You know what I mean? That's the point of all this, because they know the evil they're doing, and the large majority out there doesn't support it. That's why you got to get Skynet fully in place. A-Dub says, Max says, try not to burn out being on the X. I'm telling you, man. A-Dub got a follow from Ruckus there in the chat, so good job there. A-Dub. They said, thanks for the truth. Well, thanks. We're trying to get to the bottom of these, all the propaganda and lies, and shoot you straight here at Weaponized News. That's kind of the point of doing the broadcast, right? I'm not a paid, I'm the writer, producer, host, switchboard operator. I'm everything here at Weaponized News, and we have contributions from Ruckus and other people from time to time, and I appreciate all of their contributions, but I'm it. Nobody's paying me. Nobody's telling me what to report, what to write, what to put out there. It's 100% independent. I'm telling you. We have very limited. Our only sponsors, my own company, Abazaba Enterprises. This is 100% independent broadcast. Bot traffic exceeds human traffic online now. Google it. Yeah, that's very true. The dead internet theory is real. Let's end it on that. I saw those reports too. More bot traffic out there than actual human traffic. So much of what you see is just fake, right? It's just fake. So be careful with who you're arguing with on the internet about politics, especially. I think it's just a waste of your time. If you're not convinced now that this government's corrupt beyond redemption, I don't know what else to do. I'm not going to argue with people on the internet about it, because they're probably arguing with a bot, honestly, at this point, or just a complete moron. You know what I mean? Ruckus is already following you. Well, to help do your part to pump up traffic, unfollow and refollow, and then unfollow and refollow again. And then that will make A-Dub feel better, like he got a couple extra followers. Just joking around here. Love you guys out there in the audience. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and chatting up all of the chat rooms. I am late for a meeting here now, as I believe I missed it already, but we had to cover all this news for you on this Monday. As always, everybody, do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Let's pray for peace. Let's pray for peace, and things don't escalate into hot, crazy, full-on war there in West Asia. Let's pray for peace in Sudan. There's ongoing genocide in Sudan, very underreported, and of course Russia, Ukraine, and these other conflicts going all around the place here now. Let's pray for peace. And with that, everyone have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you back here